This is San, and you're listening to this podcast. Lately, I've been unintentionally hearing a song I haven't listened to in a very long time. Just by chance, maybe at a coffee shop or somewhere I've visited. It's a beautiful song by Sam Smith called Lay Me Down. Perhaps I'll sing a snippet for you at the end of this podcast. But this song reminds me of a very difficult time in my past, those days when my heart was broken by love. What about you? Have you ever loved someone so deeply, only to have your heart and your feelings get hurt? I think some of you might have loved one person, or many people, or perhaps never loved anyone at all. But for me, even approaching my 30s, even though my heart has been broken many times, I'm still grateful for love. And I think, it's wonderful that my heart has experienced such pain, but it has also known such happiness. This podcast is dedicated to my broken heart and yours, dedicated to all the pain we experience in life. I believe the most amazing thing about being human is having an intense heart, the ability to live, to love, to hope, and to strive. When I look back at the past, I rarely regret the things I've done. I remember those days when I loved so blindly. Just the other day, I had a conversation with a friend of mine. We talked a lot about life, especially about love. It's true that when you meet people who resonate with your soul, conversations just flow naturally. Two people suddenly open up, sharing stories from their lives, even things they might normally be embarrassed to talk about. We sat there, telling each other about past relationships, things I wouldn't necessarily share with just anyone. My experiences are just a part of it, they can't represent everyone, but I think it's hard for us to look at a broken heart with a positive perspective. We usually hate those moments, we don't want to remember them or talk about them. We think, those were the worst times of my life. Why? Why should I talk about it, right? But when my friend and I sat together and talked about those times, it suddenly felt very healing. Every time I mentioned someone I used to love, what I wanted to convey was respect and gratitude for them. Even though back then, right after the breakup, all I felt was blame, resentment, and pain, I used to think, I loved him so much. I gave him the best years of my life, only for everything to lead nowhere. Perhaps when a relationship ends, you might also feel, I wish we had never gotten together in the first place. What a waste of time, only to be left with a broken heart and nothing else. But as time goes on, I realize that it was precisely because of those painful, heartbreaking times that I grew so much. I matured a lot through those relationships. I learned big lessons, especially about self-love, and also how to love someone else, how to nurture a relationship. We shared, conversed, and silently appreciated all the things that once caused us so much pain, then sat there laughing like two fools. Perhaps that moment inspired me to record this podcast today, to share with you that having a hurt heart can sometimes be a wonderful thing, because it shows that we've made an effort and strived for something. We tried to love someone, to hold on to a relationship, to live true to our inner feelings. We strove to pursue an ambition, a goal in life. We tried every day to get closer to that goal, and then everything crumbled right before our eyes. Whether it's failure in love or failure in career, any kind of setback can happen in life, even if we've tried so hard, put in so much effort. But you know what? Sometimes life gives you lessons through those failures, because perhaps your destiny lies with a different success that you'll get closer to one day if you never give up. Perhaps right now, as you're listening to this podcast, you have a broken heart. Maybe you just got rejected after confessing your feelings, or you just realized you met the girl you love but aren't capable enough to be with her. Perhaps today is the day you lost your job. Everything ahead seems dark. Your chest feels tight. It's hard to breathe, you're tired. But one day, when you look back at this moment, you'll see all those moments as incredibly beautiful. Like many of you, my youth was quite intense, full of passionate love. I remember a time when I had a crush on a guy, and it was the first time in my life I actively asked a guy out. Why was I so foolish? But later, I realized no, I wasn't foolish. I just wanted to be true to my heart, and it taught me a huge lesson. If he likes you, he'll make the move. I was just a lovesick dreamer. Just one message from him could make me overthink. No, actually, just a heart reaction on one of my photos made me think he liked me. Oh, he likes me. Why isn't he messaging me? He likes me, so why doesn't he ask me out? Is he shy? He must be shy around girls. There's no way he doesn't like me. Generally, when we like someone, it's very easy to delude ourselves. I remember being very sad during that time, though of course, it wasn't as sad as when I experienced my 7 kg relationship, the one that made me lose 7 kilograms. After a few months, they had moved on with someone new, while it took me a very long time to heal, live better, and love again. Later, I didn't experience such intense pain, and that's why I'm so grateful that I was hurt to that extent. Because my heart had hurt so much, it became much stronger, much more mature over time. Later, when I entered other relationships, I also knew better how to control my emotions, how to invest my feelings wisely. Do you feel like you're blaming yourself a lot, blaming this relationship, blaming what you don't have, blaming your own hurting heart? But one day, you will be incredibly grateful for it. Incredibly grateful that at least you followed your heart and learned something. At least we dared to do it, dared to love. I think it would be sadder if we had never loved, never truly opened our hearts to anyone. If you are young, 15, 16, 17, 18, I'm not talking about you. But if you are over 25 or even close to 30 but have never once felt a spark, never opened your heart, and never dared to love, then perhaps that is a regret. I'm not saying it's bad, but people mature and understand themselves better over time, so they find it harder to love. If we haven't loved anyone before the age of 25, then after that, it becomes very difficult to love someone. Very difficult. I myself am a rational person. When faced with people who come into my life, I consider everything carefully, all the standards in life. But sometimes, I still listen to my heart and follow it, even if they're not the perfect person I envisioned. I still want to listen to my heart and see where it leads. And so, relationships begin, and one day they will end. Because, as you know, sometimes love is not enough. Love alone is not enough. Many other things are needed. But it's because of the breakdown of that relationship that I gained more material and lessons to nurture my future relationships. And in fact, it's thanks to those relationships and those broken hearts that I've been able to mature so much. Has anyone ever loved without hurting once? Has anyone ever loved without crying? If I were to live to almost 30 and never love anyone, that would be something I would deeply regret. I would deeply regret it. Perhaps I would be waiting for something too perfect to begin, or perhaps I would be too strong, not allowing myself to feel. Using too much logic, keeping emotions confined in a box, and being lonely. I don't want that. If you're afraid to love because you're worried it will end one day, that it will break. If you're afraid to start something because you're scared of facing failure, then I think we need a little courage and a little freedom, and to live true to our emotions. We keep thinking we're extremely rational, but we lack experiences. Some girls have told me that even now, over 30 years old, after more than 30 years of life, they still haven't truly liked anyone. Because they have very high standards, and if they don't meet someone who fulfills all those standards, they won't start a relationship. That's good, isn't it? There's nothing wrong with that. However, it will make us lack real-life experiences when entering a relationship. Because, in reality, we are growing, and so is the other person. Entering a relationship and growing together, developing together, becoming the person both sides desire, that is a journey of cultivation. But if we just sit on the sidelines, watching everything, never truly entering a relationship, then when that perfect person appears, will you be strong enough to keep them? Especially when you've never been in a relationship, you've never learned how to love and understand another person, and all you care about are your own standards. Do you think you are stronger than those who dare to love and dare to let their hearts break? I don't think so. I have a close male friend, and we often confide in each other about many stories of love. And when he shared about his relationships, I realized he is someone who lives very true to his emotions. And I told him, "You are truly so brave. I think you are much braver than I am, to cast aside everything and live true to your feelings." Even though love isn't something where, if you give your all, you'll necessarily receive your all back, I still acknowledge that you are a courageous and incredibly strong person for repeatedly allowing yourself to be hurt to that extent. But for people like that, I find that when any relationship ends, they don't cling too much, because after all, they've given their whole heart. They've hurt, but they move on faster. They leave the relationship faster because they have no regrets. Of course, this doesn't mean that we should always act purely on instinct without learning any lessons, repeating old mistakes. Naturally, that's something we need to reevaluate. There will always be a need for growth and learning through pain. But if we don't dare to be hurt, don't dare to love, don't dare to open our hearts, then when will we truly know what love is? How will we know? In fact, I often used to ask, God, why? Why would you make me suffer so much? But we've never asked, God, why don't you give me experiences in life? Why don't you let me love and meet and enter a relationship with someone? Why don't you let me meet someone so I can suffer with them? That's a question I asked myself when I was single for a very long time, a few years. During that time, sometimes I was lonely, sometimes not, but I still felt like I wanted to be in a relationship because I wanted to experience it. I was also growing, and I wanted to build a relationship together. If we overly protect our hearts, perhaps we will lose out on life experiences. Of course, this doesn't mean I'm telling you to enter a relationship where there are clear red flags, with guys who don't value you and will break your heart from the start. I'm not saying you should be with a toxic person who makes you feel bad about yourself. I'm not saying that. I just want to say that no one in this life is perfect. And if we wait for a perfect love and think it will never hurt you, then you might never love anyone at all. If you wait for someone to come along who brings you only joy and happiness, who is 100% right with no flaws, who is perfect and has no imperfections whatsoever, then you might end up alone for the rest of your life. We should reflect on ourselves a bit. We're not perfect either. How can you be sure you won't hurt the other person? How can you be sure you are 100% perfect and always right when you yourself desire that from someone else? The truth is, love doesn't just bring happiness. Love brings both pain and happiness at the same time. If we don't want suffering, then don't love, don't hope, don't wish. Yet the happiest moments come from those who dare to hope and wish the most. Does that sound contradictory? Does it sound confusing? But that's what love and life are like. No matter how much you protect your heart, one day you will accept the truth that all of us will suffer. Our hearts will break. But oh, how beautiful that is. How wonderful it is to love and to hurt and to grow, so that we learn how to love, how to nurture, and how to accept, how to get accustomed to this life, to this world. There's a wonderful quote by Bob Marley. Everyone is going to hurt you, but you've got to find the ones worth suffering for. I used to be a very dreamy girl and wanted everything to be perfect. But now I realize that there is beauty in imperfection, beauty in broken pieces, beauty even in people who are not perfect themselves. It's wonderful when two hearts open up and embrace each other, building a life together and perfecting themselves together. Have you ever thought that if you keep holding onto your heart, one day you might realize you have no love at all because you've never loved, never given, never understood? Have you ever thought that being hurt is a privilege? Being hurt is a wonderful thing, so that one day you meet someone who has also learned their own lessons, and you have learned your own lessons, and you know how to embrace each other, to care for each other. I think I was originally just a childish, even selfish, girl. I also saddened many people, including friends, lovers, and even family. So, over time, when I was hurt, I realized I needed to become a better person and treat everyone better. Through those mistakes and imperfections, I became more complete, because I reflected on myself after everything, to complete myself and to live true to the growth and depth I feel when I think about life. Looking back, a part of my life has passed. It sounds a bit old-fashioned, but I have to admit that now, almost 30, not too old, not too young, I just see that everything has its own perspective, and even broken hearts have truly beautiful moments. I hope you dare to love, dare to open your heart, and dare to follow your heart. And of course, dare to learn from your mistakes to become better, instead of being afraid, instead of expecting perfection, instead of confining yourself within rules. Just love and live a free life in the way you desire. Oh, you broken hearts, you are very brave and strong. You are more wonderful than you think. And be grateful for all those moments you considered the worst and most painful in your life, because thanks to them, you grew, learned to love, learned to understand, and learned to accept. Thank you all very much for listening to this podcast tonight with San. I wish you a good night.